This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode number 320 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show. It also happens to be episode 18 of Chasing a Fox in a Little Black Dress, Lusting for Oughton Limited. Please support our sponsors as they make the show possible. Sparkle and Boom, American Horsewoman's Challenge, and Easy Signs Online. Plus, Riding Warehouse.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for the Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. The Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Helena B.
And this is Sissy Finn.
And you're listening to Chasing a Fox on the Horse Radio Network. Welcome back, Sissy. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm pretty good, pretty good. We also have Coach Jen with us today from the famous and amazing Horse Tip Daily Show. Welcome, Jen.
Hi-ho!
Jen is actually the person who taught me how to hunt, and she's responsible for giving me my first taste, dose, hit.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't like that, like people who have to take care of broken bones, if you have a complaint, please send it to Jennifer at horseradionetwork.com.
People have to take care of broken bones. That would be me.
I can't believe that happened.
I know. We will get into details. If you haven't listened to last month's Chasing a Fox episode, or actually, no, there's last month's
That happened
Chasing a
after.
Fox. That happened after last week's Stable Scoop episode. You can get the full skinny on which bone I broke and how I did it. Suffice it to say that I'm not going to be hunting anytime within the next 6 to 8 weeks. But that's okay, because what I can do is shop. And one of the places that I love to shop, especially online, is Oughton Limited. And we have with us today Daphne Marcrow. She's from Oughton Limited, and she's going to talk to us about the company, its equestrian connection, their products, and what's new for fall.
Sparkle and Boom is a new media marketing company. Our mission is to help small businesses add some sparkle to their marketing in order to get some boom in their bottom line. Our creativity, combined with an extensive background in the equestrian industry, makes us perfectly suited to help your business capture the potential of social media and the ever-changing World Wide Web. Visit us online at www.sparkleandboom.com.
Don't miss the first ever American Horsewoman's Challenge. 40 of the top female horse trainers in North America compete for $28,000 in cash and prizes. It's 3 days of intense competition, demonstrations by top clinicians Linda Pirelli, Julie Goodnight, Oughton, and others. Plus the Extreme Cowboy Race with Craig Cameron. Tickets start at just $80 and are available through Ticketmaster. Don't miss the American Horsewoman's Challenge, October 3rd, 4th, and 5th at the Lazy E Arena in Guthrie, Oklahoma.
All right, but back to fox hunting and chasing a fox. We need to catch up with Sissy Finn, because right now she's really the only one out of the three of us who's been hunting. Or Jen, you've not hunted recently, have you?
No, they have stuff over the summer months, but it's 89 degrees and 4 inches of rain, and no. Things will start picking up again next month.
Well, then we'll tap into you then. And in the meantime, we're going to live vicariously through Sissy. So what's cooking, girl? You had
Pressure's
opening
on,
meet.
Sissy.
Your ponies are shaved. What's happening?
Yeah, we had opening meet last weekend. So we switched our clothes from rat catcher. Now we're in our formal season. So we've got on our sock ties and our black coats, and the scarlets are out, which is always fun to look at. Opening meet was great. It's the first opening meet that I've ever been to that almost every single person that was out hunting was relaxed, and so were their horses. Everybody was just going along. It was perfect. It was perfect. There was no craziness. It was kind of weird. I kept waiting, and nothing ever happened. It was just good hunting is what it was for opening meet.
That's boring.
It is boring, but honestly, I mean, how often does that happen?
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Never. And actually, a good friend of mine, Missy, who hasn't hunted in years because it can be so terrifying, she said, because she followed the hunt for a little while, she said, I really wanted to be out there. Everybody was so relaxed and having so much fun. She said, it was the first time she said in a long time that she thought, I really want to go with these people. So, I don't know. But that's not to say that things aren't going to go crazy, Let's see. Saturday morning, so day after tomorrow, I'll be out hunting again. That doesn't mean it's going to be a chill hunt. But
now, was opening day a Saturday or a Sunday? Or
it was a Saturday. It was a glorious day. Beautiful sunshine. Big crowd of people, came to the event. Not on horses, of course. And when you get a lot of people around the horses like that, there were more spectators even than riders.
Yeah.
It can get everything really kind of kooky, but it didn't. I don't know what was going on. There must have been something in that orange juice. Apple cider.
That's what it was. They spiked the orange juice and they spiked the water trough, both.
Well, I put a new picture on my Facebook page the other day, and it's me on my horse, and my head is down because I'm trying to guzzle real quickly my wine, my liquid courage before I'm going, because I know what can happen. But I guess I didn't need it. Or maybe everybody had that liquid courage, and that's why everybody was so chill. But it was really fun.
I think that was it.
Yeah, probably. It was a really good time. But we've got the Blessing of the Hounds is a week from Monday, so that's another huge hunt. Mm-hmm. I'm excited for next week because we're going on next Saturday. We're hunting from the farm where my horse lives.
That's always fun.
Pardon me?
That's always fun when they do that, because then you just get to hop one and run out the door.
Right, and I ride my horse for at least an hour before I go hunting, so I can't do that.
Holy cow, girl!
Oh yeah. It makes him better. Miles make manners. If we go out and ride for an hour, he walks out onto the field to go hunting, and he's like, "What's up, everybody?" Instead of being like, "Oh my God, we're going hunting."
He has to go hunting before he goes hunting.
Kind of. It really benefits me to ride him first. Although for opening meet, it's like a 3-hour hunt usually for opening meet. I thought, oh gosh, if I have to go ride him for an hour and then go hunting, I'm going to be exhausted. So God bless my trainer. He took him out and rode him before I went, which is kind of nice, and power him out a little bit. And
hey, I'm envisioning a new business model here. Hire yourself out for pre-hunts. Pay me $25 and I'll go out and trot your horse around for an hour and a half before the hunt starts.
That's right. Yeah. That's a new business. Well, if you think about it, back in the day, people didn't trailer to hunts. They hacked to all the hunts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that's good for a horse to get out there and move around and not just come out of the stall, get on the trailer, get off at the meet and go hunting.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of horses that can handle that. So I'm a big
there's
proponent.
the physical warm up too. Their muscles get moving, but you're not at a flat out gallop. When you can kind of do a leisurely hack to a meet. Your horse gets your blood moving and in a nice calm way. So by the time they do get there, an hour ahead of time, an hour before you hunt, it's not the most convenient thing, but it's a nice alternative to sticking them with some ace. A lot of people do that. It's kind of the natural way to get him ready.
Well, and I think that you can, even if he's ridden an hour the morning of the hunt, he's good. It just can't be, people think, well, I can't ride him for, an hour and a half the night before I go out hunting and think that did it. So it still can be a few hours away from the hunt, but it has to be done. It has to be done.
and your horse is still relatively new to hunting. I mean, I know he had some experience, but he's not a made field hunter. So it's very likely, because he has a really good disposition, it's very likely that you'll get to a point sooner than later, probably, where you won't need to do that. And he'll know his job. He'll understand that the excitement is actually work. And he'll probably chill out a little bit. You think?
I do. I'm confident that will happen. But I didn't want to start him wrong, and I didn't want him to have bad experiences his first season. So I'm very mindful about how I'm doing this with him, and it seems to be working so far. So good. So hopefully it'll just continue to get better every time, because it's pretty good. I'm not. I was telling you the other day, I'm not saying, oh my God, I have to go hunting this afternoon. I'm like, oh, I get to go hunting this afternoon. Totally different feeling than I've ever had. So
that's awesome.
It is
a good feeling. I mean, you still, like, I get that tingling feeling in my fingertips, it's like this electricity that runs in your blood. And like when you go to bed the night before and you're like, oh my God, I'm hunting tomorrow. And no matter how many times you get up at the crack of dawn and start braiding your horse's tail and mane and you're all ready, you still have that shaky electricity, and it doesn't go away until you start trotting. For me, until you head off, at a good trot, it's been, I don't know. It's like a built-up excitement. I'm getting it right now, just thinking about it. Gosh darn it! I'm stuck in the ground for the next 6 weeks. I cannot.
Oh my God, Helena, it's so awful.
I cannot hunt. I took my daughter out on her quote first trail ride out behind our house. So we have this overgrown meadow, and I decided to have a little fun with the tractor. So I mowed this really fun, like loop-de-loop trail all through the meadow. And I said, Grace, come on, let's go out back and let's start introducing you to trail riding, and hopefully that will lead to fox hunting. So of course we're out there.
Exactly.
We're halfway. It's a small field. It's only a couple acres, so we're halfway around it, and it starts to rain. And I don't mean like tweet, 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 tweet. I mean kaboosh rain. Fuck it. I had no idea this was coming, and despite the fact that I checked the radar like a freak, I didn't know that the skies were going to open up like this. And it was scary. It was really loud because all of the leaves on the trees around the meadow just making this huge sound. Now, the horses were fine until something in the woods got rattled by all this rain, and my horse decided to take a leap sideways about 30 feet and left me where I was. So the result was a broken arm, wrist.
I can't even stand it. Awful. Awful. Couldn't you break your arm in like May, June?
I know.
February.
That's one of our Stable Scoop fans says, you're not supposed to break your arm now. You're supposed to do it in the winter.
Yeah. Oh, my Lord. The timing could not be any worse. Oh, my
Honestly,
gosh.
I know. So I'm not going to be, I think I'm going to miss most of the hunt season. Right now, Sissy and I are scheming for me to perhaps make it up for Thanksgiving.
Yes. Please.
Well, you know something, Helena? If you don't get to hunt much, you can always come down to Florida because we hunt all winter.
I'm coming down to Florida either way.
And it's warm when we hunt all winter.
Okay.
And I have a really lovely horse that loves to fox hunt, so.
Okay. That's fine. Then that's where I'll be. So
there you go.
Everybody wants to know where I will be from middle of December until the middle of June.
There you go.
I'll be with Jen.
That's perfect.
There we go.
What do you guys hunt down there? Is it drag, Jen? Do you hunt fox? Do you hunt coyote?
We have a drag hunt on the north side of Ocala, and we have a live hunt on the south side. The drag hunt on the south side, coyote and fox both. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the pack is really, really lovely about not chasing the wild boars everywhere.
They're probably afraid of them. They're so
there are wild boars everywhere.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
If there's more than 2 acres, there's a wild boar on it, and if there's a pond, there's an alligator in it. That's pretty much how it works.
Oh, okay. So alligators, ponds, wild boars. Why do I want to come down there and ride again?
I'm not going riding there.
You do not. You don't dilly dally in the water crossings. Keep moving. Keep
oh my
moving.
gosh, I would never even have
All right.
thought of that. That's
So what
horrible.
do you say in ride with spurs and a crop? Okay, I got it. I got it. So how come you don't hunt the boar?
Oh, because no, that would be a bad idea.
This week's EasySignsOnline.com spotlight product is their New England Style Farm Signs, their most popular line of signs. New England Style Farm Signs are very durable and designed for long-term outdoor use with no maintenance required, no wood to rot, and no paint to peel. They will outlast the old style painted wood signs by many, many years. They are available in many sizes, shapes, and styles, which makes them the perfect sign for any farm or business. Go online today and go through the EasySignsOnline.com easy step-by-step ordering process to see all the prices and options available. They also offer free, no-obligation sign proofs on all New England-style signs, and you get free shipping as well on all New England-style signs. So replace your old worn-out sign and make a great first impression with a new farm sign from EasySignsOnline.com. And the holidays are right around the corner, so it's a terrific gift idea. I can't think of a better one. Visit EasySignsOnline.com.
Sissy and I are going to talk with Daphne Markrow from Oughton Limited. And if you've been alive in the last couple of years, then and you've been involved in the horse world and shopping, you'll know them as the very sophisticated, elegant equestrian brand. They're all over Pinterest, Facebook, and they have a beautiful website. So we're going to talk to Oughton president and founder, Daphne Markrow, coming up. But before we get Daphne on the line, we have a little announcement to make. The Horse Radio Network is going to be at the World Percheron Congress at the Big E in Massachusetts on Tuesday of next week. Glenn the Geek, Dr. Wendy Ying from the Driving Radio Show, and me, Helena B., will be attending. Horse Radio Network will be doing 2 live shows of Horses in the Morning at 9 a.m. Eastern and the Driving Radio Show at 2 p.m. Eastern. Plus, and here's the best part, Glenn and Wendy will be participating in the Celebrity Driving event at 5 p.m. We really hope to see bunches and bunches of our listeners there. If you want details about the show, you can go to www.2014worldpercheroncongress.com for details.
And you can stop by the booth and see us in the Stroh building, booth number 13.
Welcome, Daphne, to the Chasing a Fox radio show. We are super excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So before we actually started recording, everybody, I had to confirm with Daphne exactly how we pronounce the name of her company, which is Oughton Limited, right?
Correct.
Where did the name come from?
The name is actually a family name, so it was my maiden name before I got married. So because of so much of the inspiration that I've gotten from the stylish people that came before me in my family, I thought it would be an appropriate use of the name.
And go ahead, Sissy.
Oh, I was on your website last night and poking around a little bit, and it's so fascinating how the whole thing started. So can you share with our listeners the story about the bag, the original bag that started this whole company?
Sure. So I'm a rider and have my horses at home at my farm. And a while back, I was shipping them to a trainer's for schooling, and I had 2 horses, and I was by myself and needed really like a tack trunk worth of stuff. By the time I got there, they both had, different gear and different bridles, different boots, that kind of thing. So and of course I couldn't lift my trunk by myself. So I really longed for a bag that acted like a tack trunk. And it really came to a head when I was shipping into a farm that had a little bit of a cold. Some of the horses were, and I did not want to put them, into another horse's stall. So I wanted to keep them in the wash rack with, basically a bag in front of me that, held everything from saddle to 2 bridles, 2 different sets of boots, all the gear that you need, my own stuff. So I had it designed, and, pieces fell into place. I chose wax canvas because I've always loved, barber coats and that kind of thing. And that turned out to be great. And just the, functionality of the bag. And as I, used it more and ran into more horse friends and even took it to horse shows, I kind of, sold a couple without even thinking about how to get them, reproduced. The first bag came from Argentina. So that was not super practical on a one-by-one basis. So as I traveled with it, more and more people wanted it, and I made it for a few friends, and then I said, I've got to stop, spending my whole life, making them one by one, and figured out how to. And then the production kind of took on a life of its own, and, oh, gosh, I traveled around the world trying to find production, and everything went kind of on hold for a year probably. As I went to, China and India, and neither of those places worked out. And then I had a long courtship and lots of samples with a great company in California. And just as I was sending off my first purchase order, they went under after 3 generations making
Oh,
in the United
dear.
States. So that was kind of, where the times that it was. And then, I launched in end of 2007, and everyone knows what happened to the economy. So the first horse show I went to was just like people were, ashen, walking around and certainly not shopping. So it's been, but it's fine because at about the same time I had, my first of 2 children, and so this, slow grow has been perfect for my family, actually.
I like that, the slow grow. Yeah, we're in a similar place.
Oh, definitely. Do you still carry the original bag that you manufactured? Is that still available?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. It's called the tack trunk.
Called?
The tack trunk bag. So I first made it in a non-rolling version, mostly, for hauling horse stuff, and just didn't want the extra weight of the wheels, and, rolling down a aisleway could scare some horses, mine especially. So I really saw it as a non-rolling bag, but then, gosh, one of my first shows was Lake Placid, and it was really funny because, kind of the tack trunk went viral within this one little barn, and they kept sending, barn parents over, and I sold 3 or 4 to, different families within one barn for. I use it, so when I go to horse shows, I use my regular tack trunk, and then I use it for longer horse shows, spillover stuff like extra bandages, extra blankets. In Vermont, a lot of these horse shows, you go from, full heavyweight blankets in the morning to, sweat sheets in the afternoon. So it comes in handy because there's so much gear when you travel with horses. And at this Lake Placid horse show, one little boy going to college marched his parents back in, and he said, "Jennifer's gotten 2 of these for each of her horses. I want one too." And he was going to college, and they said, "Well, I guess, we need to make sure you have clean sheets on your bed, so this can be your trunk at your end of your bed." And another dad bought it and took it on a hunting trip, and his, friends bought it. So after his hunting trip was over, so quickly it kind of also took on a life as a packing case, as a suitcase, and I put wheels on it. So now it's available in both, and I'm getting ready to roll that shape into a really cool fabric from Italy that's it's kind of a technical wax canvas and in a gray colorway, which has always been requested. I've done the browns, but some people are just, blacks and grays more than browns, so I'm finally getting to that.
What now? The process of going from making a bag, this wonderful, innovative accessory that you take to horse shows with you, from 1 or 2 at a time to now mass producing these things, it really does kind of take over your life. At what point did you say, this is where I really, or was that the plan all along, like that you really needed to invest a good chunk of each of your days into developing this company, because you've added a whole series of gorgeous other products. So at what point did you say, okay, I really need to dive into this, and this is what my life is going to look like?
It kind of did start that way. At the time I was, riding, and that was really a place filler for me. I, went to college, went to business school, have always worked, lived in New York. It was never like I fell into wanting to work or wanting to have my own company. I've always worked in startups. I worked for my husband doing marketing. I worked for another startup doing marketing. I left college. After college, I worked at Nickelodeon. So at the time that I was writing and kind of place filling, I had, been to business school recently. And my most recent job was working for my husband, which I did not want to continue doing. So I was in the process of kind of shortlisting different ideas. One of them was also in the horse industry. I had worked early as a junior for a farm that liaised with someone in Germany, an early importer of warm bloods, and he's a major kind of figurehead in the German warm blood. So I had talked to him about starting an auction house, a formalized, and it was before all these warm blood auctions. It was, just something for the thoroughbreds and the, slaughter horses, really. So, but a model that obviously works in Europe. So there were other ideas, real estate ideas, and I was really kind of honing in on, I live in Vermont, so the move from New York to Vermont kind of necessitated a change from more corporate life to, I'm from a family of entrepreneurs, so I guess I knew I wanted to start a company. And then, I think the realization that was the company didn't really hit me for a while, but as soon as it was taking up my time and I saw a way to make money, I decided to pursue it for, a little bit at least. So I was very receptive to that becoming, especially as it started to lateralize, and I kind of put my business school hat on and really made a case study out of it, and I saw that it is a nice lifestyle to attach to, whether you're making handbags for someone in New York City that's never sat on a horse, the purpose-built aspects of how it started, I think make it, uniquely, real and authentic.
Authentic. That's a really good word, because there's a lot of junk out there, and even some of the major equestrian catalog retailers, they carry a lot of stuff that's got a horse stamped on it, and I think that's one of the things that appeals to me about your products is that it feels very authentic. On your rolling tack trunk, for example, the fittings are brass. You've got brass halter fittings in there.
Yeah.
At least I think they're brass, but they look like the real thing. Not even the nickel plate. I mean, you can't even find.
Oh, they are.
It's so hard to find a triple stitch leather halter with all brass fittings anymore.
It's so true, and that is exactly right. I really wanted to stay away from the hackneyed equestrian stuff that everyone does with bits or stamped. And it looks cute. I mean, I'm not disparaging that at all, but it wasn't my style or anything that I felt like I could add value to. So I really, stayed away. Even when people would beg me, they'd be like, "Oh, a snaffle bit would really go great there." And I'm like, "It's totally been done and keeps being done." And I really wanted something that was subtle. And my house is not a monument to any particular horse or me as a rider. I'm a pretty diversified person, and I think a lot of the real people in the industry are pretty diversified, and they don't need to, but they enjoy. So, and from a business standpoint, I obviously I'm in the hunter world, but my obviously jumpers are right there closely, and I'm not a dressage person, but I did need something that left the marketplace open to as wide a range as possible. And the Western stuff might be different aesthetically, but a lot of the different disciplines use halters with halter squares. And
that's definitely true.
Yeah, and I just wanted it to be subtle. I mean, that was also kind of part of it, is that everything had gotten so kind of bejangled and bejeweled and bedazzled, and Coach was kind of coming along and adding all this stuff, and I just really thought that there was a little hole in the market for Hermes-ish stuff, but at a whole different price point.
Right.
And
well, you've done a great job. I mean, the products are just so incredible, and definitely Oughton has an impressive resume going. I mean, you've got products that are featured in magazines from Martha Stewart Living to Garden and Gun and everything in between. It's just crazy how people are just embracing it. It's wonderful.
Nice.
To see it all out there. Now, what type of products do you get featured most in the online and print publications?
That's been a learning curve. I didn't start in the fashion world, so it's all starting to make sense. I mean, a lot of fashion companies do have kind of two lines, one for press and one for real people. So, I have never wanted to design like an orange bag or a bright color, because that's just not really what fits within my lifestyle, or, I wouldn't spend $600 on, something that trendy. But press is definitely a different animal. I mean, they do want to see more trendy merchandise, brighter things just for the appeal of their pages. So I think, in the business, a lot of companies do, and I, now am able to hire consultants that work for other companies. So it's, now what I thought was true, has been confirmed to me that it's, and I still am not that, kind of corporate about it. I still don't. So what gets featured, there's a couple bags where it coincides, where what gets featured is actually a great sale piece. And I have not gotten as much press, I think, as I could have had I kind of pandered to that bright color stuff. All the magazines will sample. I mean, I have absolutely sent samples to every single magazine under the sun at their request. And they just, a lot of times miss the pages because they wanted something that was, lighter and brighter. So, and I just don't have the, the cash wherewithal really to just do all the, fashion is a famously kind of, cash-intensive business, and I don't, have investors, although that is maybe changing, but, I just can't run, parallel lines like that right now.
Yeah, and they'll bleed you dry, too.
They'll bleed you dry, yeah.
They'll suck it right out of you.
Totally. And I think also where people are getting their information is changing, and blogs and Pinterest and all that stuff is, taking a lot of eyeballs, and so my strategy is kind of evolving with that too. So the print press is less important to me than it once was.
Right.
Now, Cynthia, you're the first one out of our little group here to have started following Oughton on Pinterest, which is a really great resource.
Yes. We really follow them pretty closely, and you guys follow us pretty closely too.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun, which is really kind of fun. It just, it tells, I think your Pinterest board tells the story of what Oughton really is.
That's great to hear.
The classic lines, the understated thing. It just really, it tells a nice story about the company when you take the time to really go through your boards. And it's very enjoyable. So to our listeners, if you haven't been following Oughton Limited on Pinterest, definitely go to their Pinterest account and follow them, because it's good stuff.
And there's a lot of great ideas and inspiration and detail. That's one of the things that makes the Oughton product line stand out from the other stuff that we see in our equestrian catalogs is, from stitching to fittings to the innovative uses, like Daphne was saying, all that stuff. So the Pinterest boards actually give us a chance to look at the product photos up close, and then it creates context. It's just like those old Volkswagen commercials. Can you identify with this brand? Like if you drive a Volkswagen, then you're this cool. Well, what you've set up on Pinterest really defines the context of your brand, and I can see a lot of. It's just such a clear, articulate niche for you that there are women like Sissy and Jen and me who we don't have a lot of money, but we do want to invest in something that's unique, sophisticated, and by golly, it has to stand up to the beatings we give it because it's going to get dragged from horse show to horse show and, from hunt to hunt. I think having some of these bags would be great for fox hunting. And, I know the fox hunting thing is not really been done to death, but we're just saying, if you need some ideas.
Yes. I do, because I don't hunt myself. I wish I did. We don't have a hunt here. But thank you for saying all that. And I think, it just comes from an honest place. I mean, it comes from a life lived with horses, kind of full stop. I mean, how the halter squares evolved is a funny story, but very real. I was in Lexington with my old hunter trainer, and my father was in the thoroughbreds, and she went out to Lexington to help advise him with his thoroughbreds. I grew up on a thoroughbred farm and stayed, literally never came back to continue her career as a hunter jumper trainer. But she's still one of my best friends and the godmother to my children, and now has a huge broodmare farm, 80 mares and 80 weanlings in years, 240 head basically. So we were waiting for a male, and I go out to help sometimes when not anymore, to help her foal her mares, because she is at every single foaling, and it's just great fun for me. And Lexington's such a great place. And we were sitting waiting for a mare to foal, and there was a trash can full of old halters, turnout halters. And I said, do not throw that brass away. I mean, the leather shot, but you're not going to throw that. Could be a great belt or something. So we sat there cutting the brass halter squares off. And I mean, there's a whole other kind of crazy story about she, shipped the brass halters to me. And that was what I ended up using on my first bag. And then everyone's like, oh, that's great. And I thought I'd do belts too, but never really quite figured that one out. But it all just comes, the Pinterest board is really the same. It just comes from a really honest place. Like, I happen to be redoing a new house, and a lot of, my time spent on Pinterest is just lifestyle stuff. And I want to be a lifestyle company. The sales is a nice byproduct, and I couldn't do it without the sales. But at the same time, I like the community as much as anything. I've got 2 small kids, so a small company with a real community and a real cool high-end lifestyle niche is perfect for me. And it's where I think the economy is going. I mean, I think people are not wanting mass-produced. They're wanting the kind of, niche, artisanal products, and that's what I try to seek out. I try not to buy, China-made. And so it's, maybe one day going to all come together.
So what's coming up this fall, or what's new? So on your website right now, you've got a really nice selection of totes, handbags, luggage, accessories. What will you be adding? What should we keep our eyes open for?
So
next
I
year?
am adding the blacks and grays. So, and it is so kind of the inspiration crosses. So I have gravitated towards that for my home and really fallen in love with, grays myself, and yellows and blacks and golds. So I've pretty much brought that into my line. So out of Italy, I have 2 wonderful kind of high-end bags, a work tote to replace a tote that I sold out of a long time ago and just couldn't figure out how to get remade affordably. And then I've got kind of a purse to go with that. So the tote is a bigger work tote, and the purse is a smaller, and it's grays with brass halter hardware, blacks, leathers, a real surcingle on one. It's going to be really pretty great. And ironically, my Italian agent's wife rides and has a cashmere blanket line in Italy. So she's been that has really fallen into place, because he does work for Barney's and all these great places, and it just so happens that he's interested in working with me because his wife pressures him to do so. Otherwise, I could never access him. And then out of another factory that I have, I'm doing that gray kind of technical line. It's a very, different look than the very sumptuous Italian, but it will go towards the big packing cases and, the bigger pieces, very kind of rugged and indestructible, kind of utilitarian chic gray. But it is also Italian-made fabric and very nice. And that will go into a lot of the kind of purpose-built things that you take to the barn. So I do, having those two customers, I do kind of try to take my themes in those two directions.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it'll
well,
be
we are really, really looking forward to seeing all the new stuff coming out. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Thank you. And I'll always have more gifts. I mean, that's been a huge area for me. So I haven't thought through that yet, but that line will continue to expand, the small leather good gift kind of things.
Because those are just fun and easy.
They are. They are. And, so much of commerce these days is that, gifts and that you really need. And you can do color in smaller pieces. So I can, kind of check a lot of boxes. And, my spend is not that big. Yeah.
Now, will you be attending the American Equestrian Trade Association show this year?
I cannot do that this year. I have to really pick my travel very, very judiciously with two. I've got a 4 and a 6-year-old. And I, in terms of retailers, really like to hand pick them. And it's maybe cross purposes to go and open myself up to people that I then, can't really work with because I've got someone there, or, and I'm not sure that the tack shop alone is my perfect retailer, but it's some kind of cross of that and lifestyle, and there are a lot of those shops. And so I really, shoot with a rifle on cultivating, because it is so much about merchandising, and I really need to, just pick the people that will make a good match. It's a lesson I learned from a previous company, and that, really you've got to very closely control how your brand is shown to the public, because you can lose a whole company by just, retailing to anybody and have them, throw it on a dusty shelf, and then you can't really, make sense of selling $800 Italian bags.
Isn't it amazing? It's how nuanced the management of your brand has to be in order to stay successful long term. It's a lot of work, and we give you a tremendous amount of credit. And it's nice that you've got a history, a work history behind you that prepares you. It sort of predisposes you to raising that red flag or looking out among your landscape with a cautionary eye. So good for you. I'm kind of bummed because I'd love to touch this stuff. Very much.
It's true. I do.
Chew on it a little.
Absolutely. I do need to find more retailers. There is no question about that. So I will not be at AETA. I will do some consumer shows. I have reps that are more in the consumer world, and I know the tack shops that I need to be in. So I will put that on the front burner at some point soon, I promise.
Well, you're not too far from us, so we may just drive up to Vermont and see you.
Perfect. Well, I am thinking about opening my own retail here as just kind of a test case, so I can merchandise them myself and see what works. So maybe by then I'll have that done.
You have a link that says factory tour.
Yeah, that's the real factory, not like a factory store.
Oh, yeah,
that's the actual.
So that means we can't come up? No coffee and crumpets?
Yes, you can absolutely come up, and I'll create a little retail for you guys.
Oh, there you go. Awesome.
Well, Daphne, we have to. We do. We have to wrap up. We've got a little bit more of our show to do. I can't tell you how much we appreciate having you on. It's really good to hear what goes on underneath the hood of a company and a brand such as yours. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we will post links to Oughton's website, Pinterest board, and any other place that you can find them on our website. And we will also feature them on Chasing a Fox on Facebook coming up in the next week or so. So keep an eye out for that.
RidingWarehouse.com, your one-stop online tack shop. A huge selection of your favorite products and brands, but also including really unique and hard-to-find items like knee patch and full-seat riding jeans with cargo pockets, rigging converters, and a wide variety of bitless bridles. Listeners of the Horse Radio Network can use the coupon code RADIO for 15% off their order this month only, plus free shipping over $50 or $5 for second-day air, and a return policy like no other in the business, and that is free returns for 1 year both ways. You can find it all at RidingWarehouse.com. Give them a chance and save 15%. Use the coupon code RADIO at checkout.
We got to go to Vermont, then we go to Florida. We've already been to Virginia. We got places to go and people to see.
And it's funny too, because when I first came down here and I went out, because every place you hunt, it's different.
Right.
You know, the Mid-Atlantic's different from the Northeast, and I came down here, and the country is different. The hounds behave different. Everything is different. So it was really kind of a unique and cool experience when I came down here and tried it too. So come on down. It's fun.
I think that's
what is different about it? What do the hounds see that's different? Just curious.
The hounds, see, and I'm not a fox hunt. I'm not a hound expert. I'm not a kennelman. I'm not a huntsman.
Right.
But the hounds seemed, from my point of view, to work as a tighter pack.
Ah.
It was my experience, particularly in the Mid-Atlantic states, that the hounds sort of cast out and they were all working on their own. And the first guy to find the golden ticket, everybody chased him. It was like, oh, yeah, there we are. And it almost seemed as if they were working in unison. Down. And they don't. They're all sniffing for a scent. But they were a much tighter group. Maybe because the ones who wander off by themselves get eaten by an alligator. I'm not sure.
Maybe there's safety in numbers.
Safety in numbers. But they seem to stay closer to as a pack unit that way, was my impression. Maybe I'll have to get somebody on who is a huntsman that can tell me about that sort of thing. But I thought that was fascinating. And the country down here is very different because it's pretty much perfectly flat. And the only obstacles there's more underfoot than above your head. When you hunt up north in the northeast, you're constantly ducking, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Duck and weave. You get your head taken off.
Where branch?
Yeah, pretty much.
You don't get clotheslined.
Right. Down here, it's the reverse. Your horse has to be very nimble-footed. Because the footing is just crazy. You go from hard pack to swamp to loose beach sand to a maze of palm roots and back again in 100 yards.
Wow.
So it's crazy. The footing is really crazy. So you have to have a horse who is very sure on his feet, and you have to be very trusting to just let him do it because you cannot micromanage that.
Yeah. So quarter horses would probably do well hunting down there.
You know, I'm amazed the few times I've been out, and I haven't gone out with the drag hunt up north. I've gone out with the live hunt down south. Very high percentage of thoroughbreds and thoroughbred crosses because most people who hunt down here also either do jumpers or eventing. Yeah. And believe it or not, because Florida is a very, very big combined driving and pleasure driving state, we have a few people who have their driving horses that also are riding horses and fox hunt.
That's awesome. I love it. Cool? I love that the horses are so well rounded. They have all these different jobs.
All these different jobs. Now, obviously, the folks who are staff members, they have specialty horses. And some of the people who are diehard members will have horses that just hunt. Yeah. And then they just hack around. And something else I thought was interesting is they have the hunter pace events here constantly. Even in the summer, their hunter paces all over the place.
Really?
Yeah.
That's gonna be our next show, I think. Hunting down south because it is such a unique environment. It's exciting. It's challenging. Boars and alligators notwithstanding.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Those footing challenges they're not intimidating. I like the fact that the topography is flat. Does that mean then that you can, that the speeds are faster? Do you move out more quickly than you would say?
It depends on the individual cover you're at. Some of the places are pretty open and you can fly it along at a pretty good pace. Mm-hmm. The couple that I have been to, the pace was, I would say, a medium. I found mid-Atlantic hunting thus far the fastest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's perfectly set up for that, isn't it? There with those rolling hills and open fields.
And when they come to the occasional ditch or cliff, they just go across it without slowing down. It's a cultural thing.
I guess so.
Sounds
a little bit Irish to me.
Well, I think we have a whole Southern hunting show coming up in our future. What do you think, Sissy?
I think that's a great idea. I'm sure we've got lots of friends that are down south that would talk to us.
And I think we need to go down south. I think we need to take a little business trip.
You need to test it.
Absolutely. Yep.
We have lots of extra stalls here, a spare bedroom. We're good.
We're really good. Sunny weather. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we could keep going and going and going about this, but we won't. We'll save it for a future episode. Thank you very much to Coach Jen for joining Sissy and I on Chasing a Fox in our new home inside the Stable Scoop Radio Show. We will be here once every month. So the first Friday of every month, you can expect Stable Scoop to feature us girls from Chasing a Fox. And we appreciate Daphne Markrow from Oughton Limited joining us today.
Thank you for listening in today. We hope you will join us on Facebook, where we feature fabulous, functional, and fun apparel advice for fox hunters and their friends.
If you are a fox hunter and would like to be on the show, send a message to email@chasingafox.com. We love to get to know our fans. And if you're interested in learning more about fox hunting, send us a note and we will gladly share our resources. We've hooked up more than a few fans with some local hunts, and they've reported back to us that they are addicted.
And while you're at it, be sure to visit all the great shows on the Horse Radio Network at www.horseradionetwork.com.
Many thanks to today's sponsors. They are Sparkle and Boom, American Horsewoman's Challenge, Easy Signs Online, and Riding Warehouse. You can find links to our sponsors' websites at chasingafox.com or at horseradionetwork.com. Thanks again for following along. We will be back in 1 month with more from Chasing a Fox in a Little Black Dress.
And, of course, Glenn and Helena will be back next week with another fantastically fun and fascinating episode of Stable Scoop. If you haven't done so already, download the free Horse Radio Network app for your iPhone or your Android so that you can have all of your favorite Horse Radio Network shows with you wherever you go. Go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network. Download it today. It's quick, it's free, and it's easy. Now go ride your horse.